Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of The Outer Worlds. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today because there has been a murder! Victim has been killed, and we were looking around and I think it's related to some betting situation. But that was that. Can't do anything with Victim here. Hi.
Where are we headed?
You were... No. Man...
Yeah, boss?
Yeah. Let's level up, because I forgot about that last episode and in this episode. So let's bring our lockpicking up by a tremendous amount. That's good enough for me. And that's about that, isn't it? Yeah, you folks don't... You're not good to... Yeah, I don't have new perk points or whatnot. Anyway, there has been a murder, and basically I get interrupted every time, because I've been meaning to get...
Whatever you do, don't mention Tossball to Isaac. He'll never hear the end of it.
You know, I haven't seen him in a while.
If you'd gotten stuck in an hour-long rant about mostly colonists, you'd be thankful.
I think Victim's real name was Isaac. Laura? I'm sorry I'm getting into your room and whatnot. This is terrible. Dropping a, quote, care package, unquote, off with the Mathers? In the old ruins south of Stellar Bay. Be back soon. Laura, I know you're reading this. Stay out of my things. Out for deliveries. Secret people go to Braxton's apartment. And I need to search the house? Excuse me. Do I? There's some things that I could steal, but I don't think... Yeah, I need to talk to Laura.
Oh, you startled me. Don't sneak up on a person like that, huh?
I know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I'll go.
Everything's spinning. I'm just gonna take it easy, okay?
You're investigating things. I'm not really sure what she's doing there. Let's look around a little bit more. Inferno Scythe. We have had one of those. There's live residents in here having a sleep. That is a low... Wait. Oh, right, because once I get my lockpicking high enough, I can tell what's in there. So, full cranial helmet. Got some good stuff in there. Yeah, just pick everything. And then steal all. There you go. Because there's no need to respect personal privacy? Well, personal property, I should say, because it's not anybody's. It's just marked as stealing. That doesn't mean that it's anybody's. That's not how this game works. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna return to that mission eventually, but not right now, because we have actually seen all the outside. Ooh. Yeah, I should have seen that. I didn't manage to get in there, did I? I don't think you can get in there. Man, this place is all broken. Got some money in there. Excuse me. Thank you for being like that. It's really good. There's no way to go in there. Wait a minute. Is it... Did I not go... Oh man, there's things that are at the edge, but not really. Abigail Edwards. I'm getting stuck on your door. I'm sorry, Abigail. I'll come back later. I need to go in here. I really need to focus. Otherwise, we're just going to spend all the time not doing the thing that we're supposed to do. And I'm not going to do the favor to the other person that asked me the favor. The thing about... Well, actually, I did the favor already. What's that thing around Monarch? The poster.
Could I get another advance, Mr. Nandi?
Just make sure it's properly logged.
I'll note it next to the others, sir.
Celia and Sanjar. Excuse me.
Well, new business turns up at last. Celia, didn't I tell you our new statistics-based advertising model would be a hit?
That you did, sir.
How can yield improvements of 26.7% not quicken the pulse? How can 32% cost savings not moisten the loins?
You've often posed these very questions.
Clear my schedule. This newcomer has a meeting with me.
That's very generous of you.
Celia, will you make a note of that for my self-review? Very generous.
Noted.
But not so generous I can't drive a good bargain. Now, who sent you? Rizzo's, perhaps? Or Auntie Cleo herself?
I'm looking for the information broker.
Hiram? Why, he's probably still out at Devil's Peak. Not that he's had the courtesy to notify me, at any rate. But if you're here for him, I suppose that means you aren't here for Saltuna.
Yeah, I'm afraid not.
Oh, a shame. I'd been saving a bottle of iceberg-aged whiskey for an occasion like this.
Seems like you're having a rough time, Mr. Sanjar. Are you doing quite all right?
Oh, don't worry on my account. This is merely the latest in a long line of professional erotic and athletic disappointments. I had hoped that livening up our advertisements with enticing figures would draw the other corporations back to our bosom, but it seems we're back to the drawing board.
Yeah. What exactly are you hoping to accomplish?
Thanks to the so-called hazard clause, Monarch has been cut off from the board's resources and protection for 10 years now. Now, we've kept ourselves in business by trading with individual corporations, but given the off-the-books nature of those transactions, such arrangements are precarious.
It sounds like you're freer than anyone else in Halcyon. Why not embrace it?
You talk like Graham.
Can't imagine why you'd sneer at the notion of a free colony. Could it be because you're an agent of the establishment?
I used to be young and idealistic too, but you can't run a city on high-minded ideals.
So what do you mean to do about it? You know what? That's a coward's answer. What I was gonna say is what are you do what does running a city means? You know, he can't run a city in high-minded ideals. He's right in what he says. That's the but it's the running a city that's the problem. That sort of the problem here is the whole profit-driven notion of the corporation that he's heading. I think maybe it's interesting because he says city, not a corporation. So I'm not really sure if that is if they're the same. I suppose they are the same, but it's kind of complicated when you think about. But it's very easy for. Imagine a corporation of 3 people, a simple company, and you need to run it, and you need to establish it and make it profitable. The principles that are involved in making that little 3 people company work are very similar to the principles and ideals, not high-minded, mind you, but the ideals that he has and the way he's trying to make things work. And 10 years without board support, that's pretty cool. It's the testimony to resilience at the very least, I would assume. The point is, those 3 people, if they're in a different situation, if they're, for example, a family, you still run a family. You still have to make profit to pay for your food and for your house and for all the things, if you live in a capitalistic world, at least. So even if you don't, the point is the principles are different when you run a family. And yeah, so it's not that he's wrong, is that he's trying to. That's what I thought I was referencing when I said why not embrace it. When I chose the line, why not embrace it, I thought of, just sort of ditch the system, because that's the only way to survive. Because evidently you're not going to survive if you don't, I suppose. Especially in outer space. Can you imagine if Earth was. There was another planet out there of the owners of all the corporations that exist on Earth, and we were just bound to make them profit for them. That's sort of the situation that these people are in, except in a smaller scale, because the colonies are smaller and whatnot. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's a coward's answer. but it's complicated.
I have people to look after. I need to be practical.
That's why Mr. Nandi here has a rather ingenious plan to get MSI restored to the board.
On our terms, mind you.
But will that help the people here, Mr. Sanjar? Keep them fed and safe?
That's precisely what I'm trying to do.
And if our advertising scheme hasn't borne fruit, then perhaps it's time we took matters into our own hands.
She's just the prettiest. She is. This lady knows what's going on. Yeah, let's go with that.
It's true, our Celia is an alarmingly competent middle manager. At any other company, she'd be wasted in data entry. The plan she refers to is a two-pronged approach, and the first part involves seeing Stellar Bay properly defended.
You do seem to have a bit of a Raptidon problem.
And a Mantisaur problem. And a Marauder problem.
Many, many problems, but they can all be solved with a Bolt 52 cartridge. If you can get us what we need to rejoin the board, starting the Bolt 52, we'll be able to become one of the most productive and secure cities in Halcyon.
And you'll have a powerful ally on the board.
The question is, how are you going to become the most productive cities? Are they going to increase? How are they going to increase production? I suppose. I mean, if they need things from the outside world to or outside their world to make stuff happen, then I suppose I don't know if it's just what he means is profitable instead of productive, which might also be the thing. This Bolt 52 sounds useful. What is it?
Why, one of the strongest defenses in Halcyon. An extremely powerful ordnance.
I was starting to get bored listening to you until you said the phrase extremely powerful ordnance.
It is quite the rush.
I was gonna say that's not how it's written. Unfortunately, I'm not smart enough to say that. I am enough of a jerk to say that, and you know that full well. I mean, you've been watching me play this game for 50-odd episodes, so you know exactly how much of a jerk I am. So yeah, that's not how it's written. Where do I find? No, wait. Once you have the Bolt 52, what's the other part of the plan? What's the other prong?
I'll need to gather some supplemental materials, but I mustn't get ahead of myself.
You do tend to do that.
The Bolt 52 will be in the old arms building southwest of town, which used to be part of Stellar Bay before we had to move our walls in. And these days, it's overrun with marauders and raptidons.
Don't worry about it. I killed a lot of them. Then I guess I'll go get your Bolt 52, I suppose.
Do be careful. I've lost more than a few people to marauders and raptidons out there. Oh, and while you're at it, there should be a terminal in the arms building with some dangerous information. Perhaps you could delete it so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands.
Can I not ask you who the wrong hands belong to? Because I would love to not talk to them. Absolutely. I need to ask you something though.
What can I do for you?
I have questions about MSI and the good old days. I mean, he didn't say those words, but I'm gonna say it.
Then it's good that I keep such meticulous notes.
I'm sure it is. How did MSI get kicked off the board in the first place?
I've asked myself the same thing many times, especially seeing as the legal mechanisms we employed were part of the board's own bylaws.
Do you mean that you initiated your own removal from the board? This is why you can't trust corporations and their laws. I'm gonna say with air quotes. I'm not. Let's not go with that. Yeah, do you mean you initiated your own removal?
Not intentionally, though that's technically true. For many years, this planet was home to as many corporations as Terra 2. But back then, it was known as Terra 1.
Wait, Terra 1 and Terra 2? I see the board puts their best people on that one.
Really? I always thought they were refreshingly straightforward names. After all, the whole point of terraforming was to make them Earth-like.
Here, though, the results were mixed.
And as the other corporations began to tally their losses, they decided to pull out.
Yeah. But non-MSI, right?
Our leadership at the time certainly wanted to. But there were others of us who saw an opportunity. The chance to improve working hours and conditions, to reform MSI from the ground up.
How forward-thinking of you.
It's humane, but it's also good business sense. Exhausted, sick, and malnourished workers are not productive workers. Even a cursory review of the data bears that out.
I hope you'd treat them nice, whether it was good business or not, Mr. Sanjar. That's what being a community means. Treating people right, because it's the right thing to do.
Word of advice, Sanjar. If Parvati's got something to say, you do well to listen close.
A noble thought, Miss Holcomb. Unfortunately, noble thoughts rarely sway board policy. Anyway, we learned of a loophole in the corporate bylaws that would allow MSI to claim ownership of the entire planet once the other corporations pulled out, creating the perfect environment for us to enact these new reforms.
Yeah. That actually makes me think about how such a predatory corporate system. Yeah, let's just go with that. Such a predatory market as this one would work in space. They would need a constant influx of people. Because the way it works, like for example, if you think of, I don't know, the beginning of the 19th century, sorry, the beginning of the 20th century, in the era of the Great Depression, and the way it works, for example, in the 18th and 19th century, when the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, regarding the exploitation of workers and just sort of the seeing people as disposable, which it's complicated. Of course, this is in a very bureaucratic the Outer Worlds takes place in a very bureaucratic world, but it's still to the same effect as just having near slave or actually slave workers. The there is what I mean is there is an end to the miners that you buy a mine, and if you make your give your miners bad conditions and don't look after their health and don't have proper things, they will all die and they won't live forever. You will need fresh miners. So it's sort of a good analogy for stuff like Terra 1 and Terra 2 here, which I mean, I suppose they could apply that to the lore. I don't know if we're far enough into the colonization of not Halcyon. Is Halcyon the place or is it the corporation? Either way, the colonization of this place, of the Outer Worlds. I don't know if they're far enough to have that sort of problem where people just are burnt out, but it is true that people will burn out. You can't you can't expect good productivity, like literally capitalist-minded productivity. When I say productivity, which is a specific economic term that it's not just what it means. It's a specific economic factor, productivity. It's also a formula, and I'm not really, how does that work? And it's a weird formula. Anyway, the point is, it's you're gonna get better productivity if you give your workers better conditions. And that's evidently not what the board wants to do at all. But they wouldn't be able to sustain profit because they would just lose. It'd break down, wouldn't it? Because people would break down. You wouldn't be able to. Things wouldn't work like this. People would just freak out and die. Of course, it's not. We're not meant to take that aspect of the world seriously, because it's a story and it's trying to tell a story and trying to make a world that's at the same time goofy and sort of a critique of systems that real Earth, Terra Zero as it were, actually has. It is an interesting idea. His idea, though. Taking ownership of the world so that he could... Would that actually give him independence from the board, though? But I suppose that's the point. He did get independence from the board. I take it your leadership didn't embrace your ideas. Yeah, we've heard about that as well. Using the board's own tool against them, then clever. Oh, that reminds me of that saying, the master's tools will never demolish the master's house. I don't remember who said it, though. I probably should remember who said it. But that is... I'm not sure if it is written with that, but yeah. Yeah, Master's tools, the board's own tools will never demolish the board's own house, and it's precisely what's happening here. Who's this us and we you keep talking about, by the way?
Oh, well, there were surely other junior executives with more open minds, though none of them had the temperament to handle the paperwork.
Who are you talking about? You're being cagey.
But I was keeping my tone flat and maintaining eye contact. You weren't supposed to notice I was avoiding the subject.
This is why you've never been good with presentations, sir.
Very well. Many, many years ago, Graham Bryant and I used to be collaborators, of sorts.
Bryant, isn't he? Who?
Graham Bryant. He leads a group of extremists out in Amber Heights. But he used to be as much a part of the corporate machinery as any of us. Much as he likes to forget it.
It's such an interesting thing that he's branded as an extremist, when obviously his situation is so extreme. Of course, he would be on the other extreme. Well, not necessarily, but just being away from an extreme is just pretty far away already, right? If you're on the edge of, I don't know, a big plateau and somebody's at the center, it's pretty far away. I don't know. So he helped you make your case to the senior executives?
Indeed. For all the good it did. MSI's then leadership wasn't enthusiastic. They insisted we'd be relocating to Terra 2 along with everyone else.
I guess you missed the transport?
Many of us chose to stay behind. And as the most senior executive remaining, I ended up in charge of what was left of MSI. I moved forward with our planned reforms, as well as our strategy to assume ownership of the planet. Yet not long after I renamed it Monarch, the other corporations dislodged us from the board and began an official campaign to paint us as lawless savages.
It's interesting that they actually respected your wish to rename it Monarch, because that's... I mean, we do hear conflicting reports about the name of this place, but still, you know, it's not like... But why would they do that? What an interesting question. Yeah, you should have known you couldn't oppose them.
But we weren't trying to. Everything we did was legal and above board. We followed their rules, and yet they still found reasons to declare us outlaws.
Your first mistake was expecting the board to cut you a fair deal.
I understand the sentiment, but if we can't rely on some sort of framework, then what do we have? I do think there's something useful in a governing body like the board. Something that keeps us from anarchy, but I dearly wish it functioned differently.
Well, it's that problem, isn't it? Why exactly do you want to go back to the board?
Why wouldn't anyone? They own nearly all the resources and infrastructure in Halcyon.
Yeah, and once you go back to him, they'll own your dignity too.
To be on the board is to be part of the colonial community, and being cut off means slow strangulation.
The verbiage that he uses would mean... it sort of evokes other things more than necessarily actually being significant. The colonial here, it's colonies into space. It's not actually colonizing other people. It's, well, as far as I know anyway. Seems to me anything's better than the corporate yoke.
I fear the MSI citizens who've been dissolved into Raptidon Cud would disagree with you. If membership on the board can ease our hardships and provide us with opportunities, then that's the path I mean to pursue. Besides, I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part will allow us a more equitable relationship.
Isn't that the argument that you could say to any war whatsoever? Any war. Just literally any war. You're at war with another country? Let's surrender. The other person says, oh, that's stupid. And then the person who said, let's surrender says, look at all the people who got killed by the enemy. I bet they disagree with you. That's the same argument. The same exact one. So I'm hopeful that additional leverage on our part. What do you mean leverage, though? Is it the thing that we discussed?
Don't get ahead of yourself, sir.
Yes, yes. It'll be easier to explain once we have the Bolt 52. My hope is to maintain the reforms we've managed here, and who knows? Perhaps once we're restored, we could spread them to other corporations.
Well, let's keep talking about this in the next episode because we're out of time for the day. So for right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been The Outer Worlds. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment. Like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later. But above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.